Just to clear up one thing I was talking to Phil about then. Given Phil's hearing, then me and Scott decided that I'm going to call 10 seconds for him because I'm first on the table and louder. For continuity, I'll do the same with you, okay? Right. Good luck to you then, Phil. Right. Good luck, Tom. Yeah.
There are occasions where the first round throws up some utterly ridiculous draws. This being absolutely one of them. Two players who will be within the bookies' favourites to win the event. Tom Cousins is on a rich vein of form recently. He won his game. I went up to the Corn Exchange to watch him play Jack Whelan in the King of the Hill, and he was just sublime to watch. Phil Harrison rarely, if ever, has a bad day at the office. These are two players at the absolute top of the game. And they clash in round one. Someone's going to get pushed across the loser's side. There's Phil. He looks pensive and tense. Suddenly sat there yawning away in the corner without a care in the world. Tom, well, his break is probably the biggest part of his game, although he's just exceptional in every area of the game. His break is huge, but has let him down at the first step. And it's Phil Harrison who will come to the table with first honours.
Extension call.
Using his extension very early in the frame.
Red ball's in play.
And Phil opts for reds. Straight away, look at the layout of this table. Break is going to be huge in this match. It will be the difference between winning and losing. Of that, I'm absolutely sure. These players just dish tables for fun. Phil Harrison, the farmer. Tom Cousins, top cat. Or as I like to call him, the big bear. clinical. Exactly what you expect from Phil Harrison. Just turns up and does his stuff. Does exactly what he needs to. Reasonably simple clearance. And one that lesser players could make a meal out of. Phil Harrison just makes it look simple. And he takes the early honours and leads 1 frame to nil. He will break in frame number 2. Other scores from around the arena. Oli Bell. I just watched a couple of frames of that one before this one got underway, and Oli was on fire. From 2-0 down, he went 3-2 ahead and wasn't missing the ball. Right down the bottom of the screen there, 3-3 against Scott Gillespie at the moment. Jack Whelan opens his account today. He's playing Adam Penwell, and he's currently 5-1 ahead. Arfin Dad is trailing Sean Chipperfield 6 frames to 3. Another great game there. This one was really tossed up, some really good matchups. Phil just feeling a bit uncomfortable about something there. I think it was probably the, I don't know, it's just something on the surround that was annoying him. Maybe a tiny little air bubble in the wrap or something. I don't think so, but he just flattened it down and then he was okay. But he returns the favour to Tom with a dry break. And again, Reds look very nice. The one awkward ball is just below the black. Doesn't pass into the centre bag, doesn't pass the bottom right corner. So that one's going to need a good amount of thought. Tom sporting the, look at that for an opening shot. Wonderful. Clears that pocket, takes away the problem, and straight away the table's open. Like any great professional player looking to sort out the conundrums at the start of the frame. Tom sporting a new haircut. I did say to him that I just had a quick chat with him before the game and did ask him if maybe he was trying out the new style that's all the rage nowadays. It's called the Nick Finn. Shave all your hair off and go bald. It's all the rage. Everyone's wearing it. He's underhit that one. Underhit that one by 3 or 4 inches. He's still okay. I think he can just clip this into middle and then probably use that yellow in the middle of the table as a bumper. The only problem with that, he doesn't want to push that yellow over the top left, so he may actually try and avoid that cannon. No, he's played it at a great pace. Oh no, he's missed the one in the middle. I was just looking, I was tracking the cue ball. Missed his ball in the middle bag. Took his eye off the pot. He was just looking at that cannon, playing it at a delicate pace, and fully focused on the cannon. Took his eye off the pot, which is schoolboy error, really. Not something you expect from Tom Cousins. Awkward for Phil, though. All of these balls, these 3 at the bottom right-hand corner, they're all, well, the middle one's blocked. So he's going to have to take them in a particular order. He can pot the leftmost one, and he can pot the one nearest the cushion. But he's going to have to take those two first, I feel, before he can take the one in the middle. And also, of course, the one on the right-hand rail. He's tried to attack that straight away, hasn't he? He's misjudged that by some margin. Trying to come across and knock that yellow out. And you feel now that he only has a safety available to him. I think he'll be looking at glancing off the nearest yellow and running in behind the other balls. Needs to play this delicately. It shouldn't be too difficult for Tom to get out of either. Yeah, he played that well. Just glanced the yellow on the way through. He would have loved another, just a half an inch of pace to take away this bottom cushion as an option. Tom still does have a one cushion escape. But going this way, the middle bag does loom fairly large. Had Phil just got that another, well, maybe he has taken away the one cushion escape. What a great shot. How well was that judged? Pressure firmly back on Phil's shoulders now. You can see the referee as he calls 10 seconds. He steps across to the table and just taps on the rail. And you'll only see him do that for Phil, and that's because Phil is hearing impaired. Can't always clearly hear the referee, so he asked for the referee to tap the table to give him that 10-second warning. That's another very clever shot. And I don't think there's any tactical shot that Phil can use to his advantage here. Very often it's no value in covering pockets, but in that instance he hasn't left Phil any tactical advantage. There's no advantage in if there was another red in that area, it might have been worth just pushing the yellow over the pocket, but yeah, he's forced to attack from there. He's had a little touch in it, hasn't he? He's just pushed that yellow over the red, over the middle bag. It is a big target for Tom.
Extension call.
Difficult to see how he's going to attack that problem over the middle. I was going to say, yeah, what a clever shot. I was just wondering when he queued up to that if he was going to try that. He executed it really well. Look at this. No intention of doing anything with the other red, and he played it at a lovely place to make sure the other red didn't get tied up as well. Beautiful cue ball control, and hit it on the right side as well to make sure the cue ball came out. Perfect execution from Tom Cousins. And very quickly, this one is going to be one frame each.
Third frame, Tom Cousins to break, 1 frame all.
So it's all been about the breaks so far. 2 dry breaks, 1 for each player. Can Tom get it going? Again, beautiful break, just times it so well. The cue ball's controlled just perfectly. Just stops it in open play. No danger of it going in off unless it's somehow kicked. But again, no luck. He's gone dry.
Seconds. Extension call. Red balls in play. Seconds.
Again, a tricky little clearance, and has it gone even more tricky? I think he's okay. He was just giving that a little pensive look for a minute, just a cursory glance, thought perhaps the red had just gone a fraction too far. But as I say, I think he's okay. He can take it now. I think he has to take it now. But controlling the cue ball, there's a lot of traffic up there. A lot of yellows in the way. He needs to find the gap here. You can see him putting a lot left-hand side on the ball. He's looking for that gap between the 4 yellows. Found it perfectly. Still has these 2 balls on the left-hand rail. feel sure that one of them he's going to have to double. Phil, quite a thoughtful player, and you're going to see that referee tap the table a lot of times, and it's almost like you kind of almost see an electric shock run through Phil when he sees that tap on the table. You see him just kick into action. What a beautiful shot. Again, I said he was going to have to maybe try and double one of those, but didn't need to. Developed it. Still just slightly tricky. That's an awkward layout. The reason I say that the one down the left-hand rail doesn't really afford position to anything else. If he plays the one nearest the black, he can't avoid running into the black. And the one near the middle bank doesn't cut, so he's really going to have to get into this one. Slightly hampered queuing too. I think he's just going to run across the table, is he? Yeah, he can run across the table and leave it to the middle. Finish very low on it again. Can he avoid the black? Can he just pinch the cue ball back? I think he thinks he can. He's just looking at the angle he wants. This is one of those you really, really do have to dig down on, and it's such a grippy cloth. I don't think he can he? No, he's going to cannon the back of the black. And then it was just about the judgment of pace, and he cannoned the black much too thick. Much too thick. He was just looking to glance off of it, and he cannoned it almost full ball. You felt that he was just playing that as a plain ball. You felt that we captured that shot. I don't think we did, no. I was going to say he was playing it plain ball, and you just felt he was always going to run into the black too thick. You just felt he just needed to just nip the cue ball a little bit. He's going to try and bend this. It's a good ball's width. He's going to have to bend this. Ball and a half. This will be some shot. Yeah, you felt that it was a little bit too much of an ask. Very, very reactive, grippy cloths, but that was one of those that really had to catch very, very quickly. And playing it at the pace he was, he had to play it at a gentle pace because he had to try and hold for the black. And playing it at that pace and trying to get it to grip, that was a very tricky shot. Tom just looking now whether he can get past that near knuckle to the one over the top left.
10 seconds. Extension call.
Immediately calls for his extension. He's going to give this a close look. Not sure. I think the knuckle's in the way. Yeah, it must be. He's taking the one to middle. He would have dearly liked to take that one to top left first. Just that dictates the order that he could have gone about these balls at the top of the table. Now he has to go about them slightly differently. Again, he's looking for the same gap that Phil found earlier between the 4 yellows. Slightly easier for him this time. Didn't have to do so much with the cue ball. And he's going to take this one odd yellow to bottom left. And then maneuver his way back up the table. Really does have a choice of 3 balls now. You can take the one to bottom left, top left, or there's a ball to top right. Any one of them you could make an argument for. But he's going to take this stray yellow. The top players are always going to work in areas. They want to work their way up the table. I think he's going to screw this back just below the bulk line and take one of these yellows. Yeah, that's perfect. Just landed on the bottom one. Could have landed on either. Tom has found his stride. 3 dry breaks so far. All of these frames, well, the first 2 frames are going against the break. Phil not being able to take advantage of the error from Tom that time. And it is still on break. Phil need not be concerned yet. As I say, it's still on serve, as they say. 2-1 to Tom Cousins. Phil Harrison will break frame number 4.
Fourth frame, Phil Harrison to break, trailing 2 frames to 1. Time running.
So Phil Harrison, the man who won 2 events during last year's series, he is a born winner, just a natural winner, isn't he? He just knows how to get across the winning line. Has played at the top of the game for over 20 years. I mean, I remember watching Phil. He's one of those who just almost feels like he was around when I was a kid. And I'm older than him. He's been around for so many years. How do you keep up this kind of standard over that amount of years? And such a great guy, such an unassuming player. Hit the ground running during this series as well. Of course, he played Declan Brennan in event 1 in the final, and came up short, but as runner-up, took home a very nice purse for his weekend's work, and also had a nice chunk of the Calcutta from his generous owner. As I say, such a great, unassuming guy. He just messaged me out of the blue on Facebook a month or so ago, and we just had a chat, and I don't know, he's just one of the nice guys. He's a window cleaner by trade. Loves getting out and about, keeping himself fit. Has his own table at home. Puts in the work, puts in the hours, puts in the practice. But my goodness, you need to have a high level of skill to stay, as he has, at the zenith of the game for so many years. Tom Cousins, obviously a lot younger, newer to the scene, but by no means any less of a player.
5, 4.
Certainly, wow, there's a really unexpected miss. I think it was possibly because he was rushed as well. Tom not just a talent on the pool table. He is a great talent at the dinner table. My goodness me. A few weeks ago in Derby, I had the good fortune to go with Tom and his friend that you see just peeking out there from behind the referee. That's Dwayne, and he travels everywhere with Tom. Great mates. And had the good fortune to have dinner with them in TGI Fridays. And Tom ordered some food, and I thought it was his meal, but it wasn't. It was his starter. And by accident, they put my meal in front of Tom, and he'd eaten half of that before we even realised he had the wrong one. And then he gets the biggest rack of ribs you've ever seen in your life, and demolish that. I mean, I've never seen anybody put away food like he does. An absolute machine. A machine on the table, on both tables, the dinner table and the pool table. But what a lovely man. Absolute. I mean, I've never met anybody so cool and so laid back and just so easy to be around. And that's a clever shot by him there. It's a loss of turn shot. So it's basically it was an incomplete skill shot. So Phil has to play from where the cue ball is now. It's not very often you see that tactical shot used, but Tom basically throwing the gauntlet down, saying you've got two balls tied up on the bulk. You've got one tied up on the side rail. I'm going to say that you can't clear up from here. It's just all about this double, isn't it? I don't think Tom had much in the way of attacking options, so he just said, okay, I'm going to give myself a chance, and if you don't get them, I will. But you can't lay the gauntlet down in front of this man, because quite often he'll pick it up and slap it back across your face. I can tell you, if you get the chance, go and watch a particular part of the game between Mason Penny and Jez Graham. If you go to that game, it's on our YouTube channel, Beer Productions. And while you're there, give us a little subscribe to the channel, give us a like. But yeah, Mason Penny against Jez Graham, and fast forward to 1 hour 36 minutes and watch the two shots that Jez Graham nails. The first one is just a great shot, and the second one is a little bit of sickness. 1 hour 36 minutes on Mason Penny against Jez Graham. We will try and capture it somehow and show it on the screen later. I don't know if we'll be able to do it, but we'll try to. But if we can't, and just go and have a look for yourselves.
Fifth frame, Tom Cousins to break, 2 frames all. Time running.
So both players with a bit of success on their break.
Seconds. Extension call. Yellow ball's in play.
Sorry, only just catching up with the chat box. And good evening to everybody. Thanks for all the messages. And thanks for joining us. Who wouldn't want to join us? Phil Harrison against Tom Cousins. What a draw. Both players would have you believe that they don't care who comes out in the draw. I will say to you that to win the event, you've got to beat the best at some point. So no time like the first round, but I'm sure they would have inwardly groaned. They would have both inwardly groaned. These players will know each other very, very well. Would have played each other so many times on the EPA, on the UK tour, in that Premier League. Of course, Tom has now taken a little excursion across to the IPA and Black Ball rules. Phil, very much still a feature of the EPA, but they'll know each other's games inside out. Tom, with slightly hampered queuing over that red, meant that he just caught the yellow slightly wrong. He still potted it, but it went in the right side of the pocket, which meant that the cue ball didn't bounce out to where he wanted it to, and it's left him very, very straight, just a fraction off straight, but the angle's no good. With the two reds in the way, I'm not even sure he can punch it around. I think he's just going to have to take his medicine.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh my goodness me. He's been so unlucky. I mean, that is ridiculous to be able to pot a ball along the rail with that kind of pace. Can he get through to the yellow? Wow, I thought, given the camera angle, I didn't think you could see it. What a great shot that was. To pot the ball along the top rail at that pace, and you could see he used a lot of side to help the cue ball, because it kicked the cue ball down table when it screwed back off the side rail. You could see the reverse side kick the ball down table, and then it had a little helping hand off a red, and I thought he was in trouble, thought he was hidden, but he wasn't. What a fantastic shot. And it's 3 frames to 2. And now Tom with that slight advantage. 1 against the serve. He's going to be breaking frame number 6, and he leads 3 frames to 2. Wonder if we can just have a quick look at the other scores around the arena. I can certainly There we go, we can get them for you. Right at the top there you see Shane Thompson. Tough opening game for him against Rob Warren. Rob's been playing really well lately. Got deep in the last event. 5 frames to 3. Greg Batten opening his account against Michael Lamb, 6-4 up. Callum Singleton. There'll be another one of the players that'll be people's favourites.
Phil Harrison to break. Trailing 3 frames to 2. Time running.
Recently won the was it Hearts Tour or Leicester Tour? I think it was the Hearts Tour. He beat Tom Cousins in the final. I know that because I bought Tom in the Calcutta for the event. Well, amongst a group of us, and Callum beat him in the final. Callum Singleton, a big talent, up and coming. Some player. Ben Flax in all action against Ryan Clark. He's 3-2 up. Wayne Fryer reeling back the years. He's playing Clint Jansen, and Wayne Fryer is 6-5 up. And I expect Wayne Fryer to feature this year. For those of you who don't know Wayne, he was #1 on the tour some 20 years ago. He's a great stick. Scott Muscat's turned up the play. He's beaten Mark Asprey 11 frames to 4. Leiden de Bono is beating Drew Hughes 8-2. That'll be a surprise scoreline for some people. Jimmy Croxton 7-4 up against John Cairns. Jake McCartney and Mark Ball locked together at 3 each. Dom Cooney 6-4 against Liam White. Darren McVicker 5-3 against Neil Wren. Jack Whelan already through against Adam Penwell. Thanks for turning up, Adam. In fairness, Jack is an exceptional player, and Adam did well to take 4 frames off him. And Sean Chipperfield is already through against Arfin Dad, 11-5. I hope Arfin wasn't struggling with the rules. He was asking me a few questions about the rules just a couple of minutes ago, so he's not really familiarised himself with them yet. Dave Fernandez 5-2 up against Lee Clough. Lee Clough, yeah, behind in that game. Maybe other things on his mind. Harjeet Singh 5 frames to 4 against Josh Kane, and Oli Bell currently 9-5 up against Scott Gillespie. I told you that Oli was on fire when I watched him earlier. 9-5 against Scott Gillespie. Goodness me. Scott at risk in the first round. Neil Toms thinks this one's going all the way. I agree. I mean, you could, or you would, sorry, you wouldn't be surprised to see either player kind of open up a 3 or 4 frame lead. If one of them's not breaking well, the other one flies out of the blocks. But I agree. John Burrows asking where Mick Hill is. Mick's back for event 3. I think Mick's currently in Australia. I think what he does every year, he goes over to Australia. He plays in the Big Guns event. Is it the Big Guns? I think it's the Big Guns they call it, which is their big event of the year. He goes over and plays that one. That's his a bit of his annual income because he seems to win it every year. I think he won it again this year, didn't he? I know he was in the final. I'm pretty sure he won it. I'm sure one of our Australian viewers will correct me if I'm wrong. But decent money as well. I think it pays about 10 or 12,000 Aussie dollars. So very good prize money. And I think he just goes over there and has a nice break, tops up the funds. And I know he always used to spend a lot of time over there and do some exhibitions. And on the way home, I think his girlfriend at the time, I'm not sure girlfriend or wife or whoever it may have been, his partner was Asian. So I think he used to stop somewhere around Asia, whether it be Thailand or whatever, and spend some time over there. So he's probably just still doing his rounds. Tom very, very close to getting a foul called against him there. You could hear the countdown got down to 1 second, and he pulled the trigger at 1 second and still managed to pop the ball. Race to 11s on the winner's side. Supreme rules. Race to 8 on the loser's side. No losers round matches today. They will start up tomorrow morning. I think it's an 11 a.m. start tomorrow with losers round ties.
10 seconds.
So winners all the way today.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Another one. That very, very tricky shot, but one again that you expect Phil to get, but with the pressure of the clock. 100%. And almost a kind of half-hearted attempt, if you will, knowing that the table's pretty ugly. Can Tom do anything with this? Down at the bottom corner. I wonder if he can glance off the first red to pop the second one and open it up. I don't think he can. I think he's just going to play a little containing shot. Clever. Covering the path to the pocket, but not covering the pocket. And leaving it in such a way that it doesn't give any opportunity to for Phil to play a tactical shot. He can't glance off the yellow and pop the red and leave Tom there. I wonder if he's looking at to see if he can double kiss it in. Yeah, I did wonder if he was going to try and do that, but I think that's what he played. The ball over the pocket is not doing Tom any favours. In other rule sets, you might think, well, he's got the pocket covered now. He could make an attempt to try and get the red just above the cue ball out of the way, just out into the open, because he's got that guard over the pocket. But that would allow Phil just to glance off his yellows, pop that red, and leave Tom in a lot of trouble. So, yeah. So say that ball really not doing him any favours over the pocket. Adam Penwell's just popped in the commentary box to give us his bad beat story. It's like a poker player telling us what went wrong.
Seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Well, I can tell you now that Oli Bell has beaten Scott Gillespie 11 frames to 5. Absolutely, yeah. Lee Grouch just popped in and told us that he smashed him off the table. And I say, when I knew, I mean, I know Oli very well. Oli plays at the same clubs I do down in Somerset. And I can tell you that when Oli's on form, he is an absolute joy to watch. He flies around the table. When he clicks, he can beat anyone in the world. And he's just proven it there by sweeping aside a brilliant and informed Scott Gillespie. So Scott's going to have to fight his way back through the losing side. Wow, that would have been a lot of people's favourite pre-event. Look at this for a shot. Oh dear. Didn't just pop one, just potted both of them and knocked everything in the open at the top end. I mean, it's not absolutely perfect, but it's it's a chance he didn't have a minute ago. What a shot. So yeah. I think just going back to Oli Bell, I think having gone through a spell, he's got his own table at home, and I think having gone through a spell of swapping that table out for a 9-ball table, and then subsequently swapping that out for a Chinese table, I think he's back now with a supreme winner in his pool room, and he's been putting in the hard hours. So a lot of practice from him, and that's paying off with that excellent win.
Seconds.
So that one exceptional shot from Tom, just opening the frame. Has he finished? It looks like he's got the perfect angle. I'm not quite sure what he's looking at. I guess he's deciding where he wants to land on the black, but it looks like he's got the perfect angle just to... Well, he has got the perfect angle. I'll be honest, I thought he would have stunned across and played the red in the right centre, and then maybe just topped across to that right-hand rail to give himself a shot on the black. He obviously felt that he could get a better angle going this way, but I feel he's left it straight. I don't think this is any good. Felt he had the natural angle there just to drift across that left-hand side rail and take that that red. He had a bit more of a margin for error, because if he finished high, he could come below the black.
5, 4, 3.
Yeah, just trying to do a bit too much there. You see the side spin on that cue ball as it's whizzing like a top to try and get that cue ball across the table to give himself some kind of shot, some cut to middle or a double. But yeah, he just landed too straight on that red. Felt there was more of a margin of error going to play it into the centre, but hey, I'm not going to question somebody of Tom's ability. Ultimately, it's been his undoing in that frame, and where he could and really should have been opening up a 2-frame lead. I mean, 4-2 against Phil Harrison. Well, you take what you can get, don't you? Because Phil doesn't give you many chances, so you really, really have to take your opportunities. And a 2-frame lead against Phil with someone of Tom's ability and Tom's break, you fancy that's a pretty big advantage. As it is, it's pretty swiftly going to be three frames each. Adam Penwell was just saying how good Jack Whelan played. He said that he was like 9-0 down before he knew it. He made 2 mistakes in the whole game, broke dish 3 frames, made a couple of mistakes, and Jack was just absolutely mercurial. And to be fair to Jack, Jack's been on a lot of form lately, going deep in a lot of events. That King of the Hill, I can tell you that, as I say, I went to watch that, and Tom Cousins beat Jack 25-15, and Jack came away from the table and he just said, "Do you know what? I couldn't have done anything else. I did everything I could." And he said, "I enjoyed being part of the game," because he said, "I enjoyed watching it." And it really was just an absolute spectacle of pool. It was incredible from Tom. One of the best performances I've ever seen. And Phil, while I was just talking there, running slightly out of position, but no problem whatsoever. Referee calls frame, and it's 3 frames each. Greg Batten 7-5 against Michael Lamb. Callum Singleton 8-4 against Brian Halcroat. Clint Jansen's won the next 2 frames. He's 7-6 now against Wayne Fryer. Lydon de Bono 9-2 against a very good player, Drew Hughes. The Maltese player, young Maltese player, who's only 22 years old, is putting on a good showing here. Ben Flack 4-all with Ryan Clark. Jimmy Croxton has just won against John Cairns. As I was saying it, the score clicked over. Mark Boyle 5-3 up against the Australian Jake McCartney. Tom Cooney 6-5 against Liam White. Darren McVicker 6-4 against Neil Wren. Dave Fernandez and Lee Clough. Lee has found his gear from being 5-2 down. He's now 5 each. He's hitting his stride. And Harjeet Singh 6-5 against Josh Kane. And as I mentioned a moment ago, if you didn't hear me, Oli Bell beat Scott Gillespie 11 frames to 5. I mean, that's not even a close one, is it? Oli was 2-0 down in that game. So he's beaten, from that point, he's beaten Scott Gillespie 11 frames to 3. Some showing.
7th frame, Tom Cousins to break. 3 frames on. Time running.
I just noticed that Ronan McCarthy's a forfeit this weekend. So Ronan obviously not able to make it for whatever reason. That's a shame.
Seconds. Extension call. Red balls in play.
I'm going to put it out there that Tom isn't making any mistakes in this clearance. Just about cue ball control. Very simple for him. Oh dear. That is a... Wow, it's just loose, isn't it? I mean, he's got a big area. He's got a big margin of error. He doesn't need to be anywhere near that yellow. For Tom, that is a big mistake. And wow, can he just get through? He's not. Oh no, I was going to say. The way he was cueing it, I thought, what's he doing? He obviously felt that he could play it to top left and off the yellow, but he couldn't find the gap. Well, I was wondering if he was going to try and just bend it. It wasn't that much of a bend. He just needed to tweak it past that first yellow. Probably just needed to move it quarter of a ball. But anyway, regardless of that. Oh yeah, of course, that was commentator's curse, wasn't it? I did call it halfway through that frame and say that Tom wasn't going to make any mistakes. Whoops-a-daisy. Sorry to all you Tom fans for putting the commentator's bock on him. And that's a couple of times now that just ran out of position. Cue ball's normally on a string. That's one of the strongest parts of his game. So where do you think it's going from here? Who do you fancy? 3 frames each. It looks like Phil's going to clear these. 4-3 up, but it's still on break, on serve. That'll be Tom's break in the next. Who do you fancy? Is it going to go all the way? Is it going to go to the hill? Who are you going to call for the winner? Let's hear your predictions. If you're recently joining us, welcome. You're watching the Supreme Pool Series Event 2. This is the Supreme Masters with Beard Productions, and we're coming live from Newcastle under Lyme. For those of you unaware, there is a new Beard Productions Facebook page. The old one we had some problems with, and it's disappeared. So we've now got a new one. So if you could please do us a favour and go to Facebook and give the Beard Productions page a like. Then you'll see all of our upcoming events. We're going to be in Blackpool in a couple of weeks. 13th of June, I think it starts. It's the Golden 8 Ball. We're going to be bringing the action from Blackpool. Another long drive for the beer production team up the M6, up to see the real Blackpool Tower.
Frame.
So yeah, we had the graphic wrong actually. It's of course Phil's break in frame number 8. So that one was against the breaks. I don't want to call it the serve, but it is. It's almost like that break of serve in tennis. You're always going to be favourite when you're breaking because you expect to make a ball. And it is almost like that advantage that you get in tennis when you serve. And very much, I mean, you can see here why it's such a massive advantage. He's broken the balls and these have landed perfectly. And Tom, he's going to be ruining his chances, isn't he? He's had chances. He could easily be 5-2 here. He could easily be 5-2 up. And the chances are now he's going to be 5-3 behind.
Seconds. Extension called. Red ball's in play.
Poor Hall Junkie asked what cue Phil Harrison uses. Nobody knows. Because not even Phil knows. If you're talking about like what brand of cue, I mean basically Phil bought it from a guy called John Bradford about 15 years ago. He paid 75 quid for it, and it's not got a badge on it. It's an unbranded cue, so he's obviously very happy with it. I mean, that how good an investment was that 75 quid? How much money is that that cue won him over the years? Tens of thousands of pounds. He's You can see, I mean, Phil known for the little nuances, the little head shakes and looking up to the skies and so on and so forth, but that one really was, he's fallen a long way out of position, and this is nasty. Any straighter and he could have just stunned across to the right hand side rail and held for the black, but he can't do that. The cue ball's going to be running. Can he grip it enough? Oh, what a shot this is. Does it go? It does go. And that shot there, that just typifies, or should I say, highlights how reactive this cloth is, how grippy it is. On a lot of other cloths, you wouldn't have been able to get that to grip as quickly as it did. A real acute angle, but he was able to dig down into the ball and get it across that side rail with side to check it back up. I see Louise is watching. Louise Harrison is Phil's wife, no doubt at home with the kids, watching Dad do what Dad does.
Ninth frame, Tom Cousins to break.
I know that we don't have a bookie here this weekend, but I wonder how the bookie would have priced this game. I had it in my mind that it would be probably 5 to 6, 11 to 10, both players, around about 11 to 10, depending how generous the bookie was. Around about that. I don't think you can say either one's particularly a favourite, can you? Either one can win on their day. Either one more than capable of beating each other. I can't see that anybody could say that there was a distinct favourite between the two.
Seconds. Extension call.
Awkward this. Horrible way to have to open your account. No good. No good. I think he's trying to play it in a way that he covers the red to right corner and also try and leave everything else reasonably safe. Difficult to see at the moment if he's left anything on. If he's not left anything, it's a clever little shot. Surely one of these goes. Can he clip that yellow into the bottom left corner?
10 seconds.
Phil calling his extension. Playing to Supreme Rules. There's another. So yeah, that was a clever little shot from Tom. I think he played it at a pace whereby if he missed it, it was going to come away from the pocket, and it was just enough to leave that awkward, a little thin cut. Still expected Phil to get that one, but he didn't, and now a golden opportunity for Tom. Yeah, Supreme Rules for anybody who is not fully au fait with Supreme Rules. They were a rule set that were brought in last year for this competition. brought in at the grand final, and they're going to be played throughout this series. They are a standalone set of rules. I guess the closest thing would be the American APA or Chinese 8-ball rules, very similar to either one of those sets. It's any foul is, apart from the foul on the break, any other foul is ball in hand anywhere on the table. Another delightful shot there from Tom. What a lovely touch, just to kiss those yellows open. And now again, the frame at his mercy. I think he'll be looking to play the 3 at the top of the table now. Then he'll move down to play the 1 down the rail into the bottom right, and then the 1 just above the black to leave the black. That will be the route that he's looking at. He's already used his extension, so he just needs to be wary of the time here. Referee's just about to call 10 seconds. He doesn't have long. He doesn't want to rush this.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Well, he's come down to take this one now. Okay, yeah. Why not? I would have thought he would have left that as his last 2 balls, to be honest. I guess he was just concerned about navigating his way to the 1 down the rail. And I think that's the one he's tried to land on now. He's not on it, but he can get on it. And that's pretty much perfect. Louise is asking what her son's been writing. Nothing rude, it's okay. He just said that Daddy was the best. And who could argue? Black goes into 5 of the 6 pockets. Doesn't go into the natural pocket, which would be the bottom right. So Tom forcing it across table. He's in betwixt and between. He was trying to get that cue ball another 6 or 8 inches down the table to leave the black into the left center. And he's just come up short. So he's going to play it into the bottom left. Again, no drama.
Frame.
And the referee calls frame. And this just shows how much that extra frame that I mentioned earlier, Tom had the chance to go 4-2 up, and he didn't. And Phil took that 2-frame advantage at 5-3. Now, if every frame goes the way of the break, then Phil wins. So Tom has to hope for a mistake. And that's a massive advantage at this level. Tom doesn't look too concerned as he is having a bit of fun with his friend. Couple of lovely fellas actually, Tom and Dwayne, both of them really, really laid back and great fun. Shane Sexton, mini clip pool rules, yeah, pretty much. You're not far from the truth there.
Frame, Phil Harrison to break, leading 5 frames to 4, time running.
trademark. You see, that really is a trademark break from Phil. You see, he lifts his, he gets down, lines it up, and then he lifts his right shoulder to make some space for that extra power, to generate the power through the cue. And the cue ball almost every time just times perfectly onto that front ball. And then you see the cue ball arc, and it lands just about 6 inches above the left middle bag as we look at the table now. And if Phil's breaking well, you will see that consistently, time after time, that cue ball arcs back and hits almost exactly the same spot in the table. He has one of the most consistent breaks I've ever seen in terms of the way the cue ball reacts. And it shows that when he times it. Just times that, that front absolutely beautifully. Flushes it, as they say. And you see the results. Another fairly simple layout.
Seconds.
The clearance you expect him to get. Fairly natural, just bounce off the top rail. Black is awkward, it won't go to the top right or right middle. And good evening to Aaron Amos. And well, I say good evening to Aaron. I mean, I'm obviously hoping that that's his girlfriend saying that she loves me and not him. I'm hoping that, you know, it's Aaron's girlfriend on his account. But, you know, I'll take it either way. Returning the love.
frame, Tom Cousins to break, trailing 6 frames to 4, time running.
And you saw the advert running there for for Supreme, for the title sponsor. And we thank them again for their sponsorship and making this event possible. Great support they've given again for this series of events. And what a great table they make as well. You see it in front of you. Exceptional table. They are the best in the business at what they do. Great value for money in these tables. They really are. I think they're honest, and the tables play so well, and I think having this Strachan superfine cloth on it really does complement. I gotta say, I will say that the last event finished fairly early. It finished around about 8:30, so we had a bit of time on our hands, and we had a bit of a knockabout on the table. Just played about 7 or 8 frames. I mean, I watched this table a lot. I've watched, I think, pretty much every frame that's been played on this table in the last couple of years, and always make note of the comments in the chat box about how big the pockets play, and you know, they play big because it's the arena table and the new cloth on it and it's slidey. I had balls along the rail that I expected just to fall into these buckets, and I was missing them, thinking, what on earth's going on? And it just shows you how good these players are. They make it look so easy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm nowhere near this level, so I expect to miss balls along the rail, but it just shows you that, you know, that shot that Tom played earlier, you know, people just take those kind of shots for granted. The one he played along the top rail, massive pace, and just nailed it. I mean, you try doing that. It was, I've never played a frame on this table until that point, and I just took it for granted that this table, because you just, as I say, I'll use the word again, you take it for granted. You watch these players play week in, week out, and you see them play so well, and you think, oh, I'm going to go play on that table. And I tell you what, because the table's so good, in such good condition, and the cloth's so lovely, I'm just going to up my game on it, and I'm just going to play better. And you don't. You still play like a muppet, and you think, my God, these players are just so good. It's so easy to take their skill for granted. Anyway, while I was talking, Tom picks up another frame. He's doing what he's got to do. It's a breaking dish, but he still needs an error from Phil. He needs something to go wrong. Good evening, Matt Holland. Hope you're well. Shane Sexton asking the cloth. It's a Strachan Superfine. It was a new cloth that was developed last year. Very, very fine nap. Almost like a little bristle on it. It's very reactive. Lightning fast. Beautiful to play on. I think all the players are really enjoying it. Comes in grey or green. A traditional green if you prefer.
12th frame. Bill Harrison to break, leading 6 frames to 5. Time running.
for those of you that that wanted a bet on this event, unfortunately Jed's not here this weekend, but I can tell you that Adam Penwell is taking bets. So if you message Adam Penwell, you should he'll give you some odds. If you ask him, I think he's only doing an outright book, but a book all the same. So if you just private message him on Facebook, then that's Adam Penwell, Penwell. Go to his Facebook page and send him a little private message, and I think he's offering odds on the event. Pretty good book as well, from what I saw. I think you know, it was there's some good value to be had in it. Wasn't your typical 400% book. He'd done it quite well. So yeah, give Adam Penwell a little message.
Yellow ball's in play.
Not sure what Phil was trying to do there. He was trying to obviously force that cue ball across. I mean, it kind of ended up in a bit of no man's land. I can't believe that he was trying to. Was he trying to get more action on it and try and split out these two yellows? I don't think so. I'm not quite sure what he was trying to do or why he played it at the pace he did. So a little, oh, that's a foul. Wow. I mean, that's a huge error. And I said that Tom would have just been waiting for Phil to make a mistake.
Ball in hand.
Just trying to glance off the outside yellow, open them up, and he's just caught the red on the way through. Referee's been good so far, been impressive. He's been very clear. I think, like they always say in football, the sign of a good referee is when you don't really notice them too much. But obviously with these referees given the 10-second countdown, you can hear them. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I think Adam Penwell's offering a book on this event. I think it was, if I remember, he had Phil Harrison as the outright favourite. Tom Cousins just slightly behind him. So Scott Gillespie was up there as well, about 12-1, but obviously Scott's in the loser's side now, so his price would have gone out. You might be able to get some value on Scott. But message Adam Penwell for prices. Good evening to Peter. I did like the photo. Thank you very much. Enjoying the pool at home. Good clear picture you got there, Peter. That looked like, what's that on the big TV screen? Of course, the beauty of watching it on YouTube is if you do have a smart TV that has the YouTube app, then you can watch it. So if you've got a nice big screen at home, get it up on the wall. Shane Thompson's through against Rob Warren, 11-7. Greg Batten's locked up at 9 each with Michael Lamb. Callum Singleton 9-6 up on Brian Halcrow. Clint Jansen fought back valiantly and he's on the hill against Wayne Fryer, 10-9 up. Ben Flack 7-5 against Ryan Clark. Jimmy Croxton through. Mark Ball 8-6 up against Jake McCartney. Dom Cooney 10-7 against the local lad Liam White. Neil Wren, who was trailing by a little margin there to Darren McVicker, he's now 8-7 up. Jack Whelan we know beat Adam Penwell. Sean Chipperfield we know beat Arfin Dad. Dave Fernandez and Lee Clough. I was going to say they're 7-all, but Dave Fernandez has just won the next one. Dave, obviously, a very adept player, current England international, but Lee Clough, well, you virtually got to peel him off the table, don't you? Tough, gritty opponent. Harjeet Singh 9-7 against Josh Kane. The surprise for a lot of people would have been the Oli Bale against Scott Gillespie scoreline. Oli Bale beat Scott 11-5. Ben Tanner 1-0 up against Rich Gifford. Neil Raybone and, in fact, Ben Tanner and Rich Gifford, they're from the similar part of the world, I think. Could be wrong. I know Rich Gifford's from around Gloucester way. Actually, no, I don't know where Ben comes from. I thought he was around that area, but I'm not sure he is. Neil Raybone is just getting underway against Scott Crawley. Johan Attard, who's joined us for this event from Malta, who bought into the series but couldn't make event 1. He's just getting underway against Steve Petty. And Stefan Rossidi just getting underway against the Scotsman Barry Lynn. Oh, and also another great game, which is on table 3, which is one of the stream tables, is Craig Lakin against Carl Boys. We shall watch that one with interest. That's a great game. Paul didn't even realise that Craig Lakin's playing in the event, and he's streaming the game. So, what about that for a break? Ball's flying to all pockets. That mistake that Phil made in the last, Tom not able to take advantage of, and still that 2-frame lead. And this now is a must-win frame for Tom. Will Kirby asking, is every game live? No, we're streaming 4 tables. So if you want to have a look at the scores or what tables are being streamed, etc., if you go to qscore.com, you can see the full draw. You can see all of the live scores. The players actually have a tablet by each one of the tables, and as they press the button, within a millisecond it updates on QScore. So you will see the in-time live scores from all the other tables. And what you'll also see is the tables which are streamed. So table 16 is the main arena table, the one you're watching. Table 11 is our second stream table. The other two stream tables are 3 and 4. So 16, 11, 3 and 4. So you can see which games are being streamed now, and also you can see the games that are coming up in the next round. I can tell you that the next game on the arena table is Sean Story against Chris Melling. And across on the second table, table 11, is going to be John McAllister against young Liam Dunster. So another couple of great games coming up in that 8:30 session. Obviously running a bit behind the schedule at the moment, but no problem. The 8:30 session will be the last one of the evening, so we've got plenty of time. I would estimate that one will probably get underway about an hour late. Really good clearances from Tom. Just needs to screw into that yellow to be guaranteed a simple black. And that was nice. He had it was a fairly simple clearance, but again, one of those that has to be made. And with the pressure mounting that two-frame lead, can't let Phil get any further ahead. Has to win every single one of his own breaks. I'm still hoping that for that mistake from Phil. Steve Petty 2-0 up against Johan Attard. That took seconds, as you expect from Steve Petty. Very fast player. Leiden de Bono has beaten Drew Hughes 11-2. Anyone who knows the Welshman Drew Hughes will know what a quality player he is. So Leiden's done a great job there. Clint Hansen has just beaten Wayne Fryer, having been behind. Now then, a big break in the context of the match. Let's have a look at this break from Phil. You'll see him just lift his head. That shoulder will come up slightly. There you go. Oh, no. Full start. You'll still see that little lift before he brings his arm back. There it is. Got it right that time. Didn't flush it that time. Didn't flush it. But he's still absolutely fine. And the reason I know he didn't flush it is because that cue ball came back up the right-hand side of the table, when normally, I say, you see it arc across and hit that left-hand cushion. When he beat Mick Hill last year in the semi-final, every single one of his breaks landed around about where that red ball is on the left cushion, maybe just about an inch below that. I reckon every single break that he hit, the cue ball arced across and landed in a spot around about, I reckon if you'd have put a mark where every cue ball had landed, there would have been every spot would have been about an inch apart. There'd have been an inch between them all. So consistent. Still a good break. Yellows are a little bit tricky. You can see how much side he's putting on this. He's looking to kick that yellow out. Don't think he's done it. Not quite what he hoped for. The yellow will now go into the top left pocket, but how do you get on it? There you can see it won't pass the red. But I think it passes the other yellow into top left. So he needs to find a way to get that cue ball over to somewhere around. Yeah, he's having a look now. Does it go? If it doesn't go past the yellow, then he is in trouble. I say it's all about getting that cue ball somewhere around about where the bulk line meets the cushion. I think it must go, the way he's playing these. Not a simple clearance. I mean, if you look at that line of 4 balls, the red, the black, and the 2 reds above it, they create kind of a barrier. You want the cue ball to go up that side of the table at some point, to go across by that bulk line, and they're creating a big barrier up through that side of the table.
10 seconds.
Push for time now.
5, 4, 3.
I don't think that's any good. Again, you saw when Phil's rushed, he's making mistakes. That's the 3rd time he's done it on the countdown, with the referee's voice giving him that countdown when he's under that bit of pressure, that time pressure. It's another mistake. So, cue ball's going to be running here. It looks like he was just eyeing up a cannon onto that red, but he's going to need some luck here.
10 seconds.
Needs a kiss. Well, I mean, it's okay. He landed on the yellow, but absolutely no opportunity of getting onto that last yellow from here. Only has 45 seconds. Not long to think about it. It doesn't go to middle. It doesn't go to bottom corner. The only place he can it goes is the top left, and he can't get across. What's he going to do here? He's going to have to find some magic. Look at the top he's putting on this. Wow. It's a good shot, and he's given himself a chance. But this is tough. I mean, when the balls are this close, and he has to play it at pace. He has to get the cue ball moving. I think he's got to punch this with screw the cue ball off the top cushion and back out into open play, maybe even with a bit of reverse side on it. This is a wow. I was about to say this is a high tariff on this shot. What a clearance. I mean, every one of these clearances is under extreme pressure. And what a clearance. Brilliant. Brilliant. Genuinely couldn't see a way. Look at this. Wiped his feet on the way in. Could not see a way how he could clear that. But he just took his medicine and rolled through just to tap the red ball out of the way to leave the long yellow. Greg battens through against Michael Lamb, 11-9. Kian Monahan's just playing his first game against Amin Bounif. He's 1-0 down. So the draw starting to shape up. Greg will play the winner of Callum Singleton against Brian Halcrow in the next round. Callum is currently 10-6 up against Brian. Jordan Shepherd will play the winner of Kian Monahan and Amin Bounif. Jordan threw earlier against Ben Rowland. Scott Muscat will play Clint Jansen. Leiden de Bono will play the winner of this game. So having beaten Drew Hughes, it doesn't get any easier for him. Ben Flack is 7-6 up against Ryan Clark. The winner of that will play Jimmy Croxton. Mark Bourne 9-6 against Jake McCartney. The winner of that will play Dom Cooney. Darren McVicken 9 each with Neil Wren. The winner of that will play Jack Whelan. Sean Chipperfield through against Arthur Dad. The winner will play Dave Fernandez or Lee Clough, who are 8 each. Josh Kane, who's 10-9 up against Harjeet Singh. If he wins, will play Oli Bell. So as we suggested, starting to shape up. Craig Lakin 2-0 up against Carl Boys. Another absolutely brutal break. It's like a sledgehammer. It's all timing. I mean, it's just incredible timing. He generates a lot of power, but it's perfect. It's just so much timing. If there's anybody out there who wants to improve their break, just watch either one of these players, especially Tom. Look at that lovely control. Just using running side to run around 2 cushions. Spin the ball around to leave a nice angle on this one into the middle. These players really are a joy. Just a pleasure to be able to watch, let alone commentate on this game. Sean Chipperfield in the background watching his very good friend and practice partner. Him and Tom Cousins come from similar areas. He's talking to Shane Thompson on the left. Again, they would have trod the same boards, a similar stomping ground. He's overhit that one by a good few inches. Won't make any difference. If he'd have hit that 4 inches less, it would have just been drop, drop, and a drop. I think he was just trying to make sure he left an angle so he could finish above the yellow to make sure he can come down for the black, but he just overdid it a bit. It's still simple, but it just adds that tiny level of difficulty. Where it would have been a drop, now he's got to come off the top cushion. The ball is moving, but I mean, it literally takes it from what would have been 100% clearance to, you know, probably like 99%. It's just that tiny little level of difficulty that you don't need. There you go. That's exactly what I meant. Exactly what I meant. And that comes from overhitting the ball just to try and leave himself that angle on the one in the middle. Literally just that 2 or 3 inches of extra pace is going to cost him, and it will cost him this frame. And that's what I was talking about that extra level of difficulty. Still a clearance that you would expect him to get so often, but it went from a dead cert, 100% clearance, to just that little shadow of a doubt. And that shadow of a doubt manifested itself into a miss. And the only reason he missed that is because he was digging down into the cue ball with side to make sure he held the cue ball for the black. Because there's a lot of traffic over that side of the table.
10 seconds.
And Phil doesn't have to go for the clearance here. He will. Absolutely he will. But he doesn't have to. He's left a nice angle here to break out these reds. But he'd be well within his rights just to stun the cue ball in behind those 2 reds, and Tom would have no attacking shot whatsoever. But those kind of thoughts don't enter these players' heads. They just don't. All he sees is a nice angle on that red to break everything open, and how he's going to win the frame. Whereas us mere mortals might think, do you know what, I'm just going to, yeah. He's okay. It's not ideal, but he's okay. This is a chance that he should never have had. And it's times like this that people like Phil Harrison, this is what makes him so good. This is when he pounces. He'll be sat in his chair knowing that he should never get a chance there. And what makes him so good is that he will take advantage. He will punish you. Ruthless.
10 seconds.
Some lesser players may let Tom get away with this one.
4, 3, 2.
Under pressure with the clock again. Now then, this could go wrong. Again, you don't expect it to. He really only has to drop the red down the rail, and he can just hold off the yellow for the red into the opposite corner. Should be simple. Yeah, perfect. Just held on that yellow. And as I say, absolutely ruthless. And this is going to be a 3-frame lead. And you feel that this match is now slipping away from Tom. Phil doesn't have enough mistakes in him to come back. And there's 3 pretty big, glaring, unforced errors from Tom that ultimately look like they're going to cost him this match. Don't get me wrong. If anyone can come back from this deficit, it's Tom Cousins, but it's a long road. Craig Lakin is now 3-0 up against Carl Boys. Carl O'Donoghue has got his winners round match underway against Jamie Burnett. Jamie was a tough opponent last event. The ex-professional, ex-snooker professional from Scotland. That's going to be a tough game there for Carl O'Donoghue. But you'd expect him to be favourite. Craig Marsh is 1-0 down against Sam Bircher. John Rowe and Jason Ellis has just got underway. Any more results coming through? Callum Singleton's still on the hill against Brian Halcrow. Darren McVicker on the hill against Neil Wren, 10-9. Jake McCartney fighting back against Mark Ball, that's 9-8 to Mark. And Ben Flack, Ryan Clark locked up at 7 each. We keep an eager eye on those scores. Dave Fernandez and Lee Clough 9 each. So, massive advantage now with Phil breaking. In frame number 15, Tom's just stepped away for a bathroom break, so there'll be a slight pause before frame 15 is underway.
16th frame. Phil Harrison to break, leading 9 frames to 6. Time running.
Huge part of the game now for Tom. Has to have a chance in this frame. You feel if Phil can break and dish here, it's the match. Tom desperate for Phil to go dry. Heads up, through the ball. Oh, the white. Oh, it might still go in. Oh, goodness me. That was like a pinball machine. That cue ball just spinning on the spot near that side pocket.
Ball in hand, time running.
And it looked like it was going to be okay. And it just sat there. Look at it spinning. And the yellow just kicks it in. And do you know what? Had that ball have been spinning the other way, it wouldn't have gone in. It would have hit that knuckle and span it away. But it was spinning the right way. Had loads and loads of right hand spin on it, which just drew it into the pocket. And that's exactly the mistake that Tom Cousins needed. Now then, taking reds. Taking reds has this issue of the two reds just below the black, and he's going to address that immediately. What he's going to do here is play the one down the rail, and he's going to play it as you're looking at the ball. He's going to address it to the right hand side, to the left as he's looking at it. Just to trace the left hand side to let the cue ball run off the side rail. You can see that side there, look. Cue ball's going to run off the side rail and just around the bottom of the black. And now he can just glance up into the black, nudge the black out of the way, which is going to open the other ball. We talk about predators. I mentioned Phil just being absolutely brutal with taking advantage of people's mistakes. Tom, very much in the same mould. That was a huge frame. 9 frames to 7. 10-6. It was game, set and match. 9-7. If Tom can find a break and dish. And make it 9-8. The pressure is going to be so much back on Phil during his next break. Well, more drama. Goodness, if that cue ball hadn't been kicked in, Phil had such an easy clearance to go 10 frames to 6. It just shows you the tiny fine margins. The cue ball so close to getting kicked in off. Looked like it was going to be okay. And a yellow came around and just nudged it in. And Tom back within 2 frames. Battle of the Titans. So now the eyes move back to Tom, a player who, on the face of it, never ever seems to feel the pressure. Just seems to be cool, calm and collected all the time. Rarely shows much emotion. Sporting the summer haircut. Beautiful timing again. Does the important job of finding a ball, but this table's awkward. Does he have anything? Oh, I don't know. I don't think he has.
Extension call.
Does the yellow go to left, centre? I don't think it does. I don't think he's got anything here. I don't think he can manufacture anything. A double? Double on this yellow? No. Just played a little dab just to try and leave it safe, and I can tell you now that he would have wanted to get that white a lot closer to the red. He's giving Phil a sniff here. That red goes to bottom corner. I think he was just trying to stun it off the side rail and leave Phil a lot closer to this red.
10 seconds.
If you can find it to bottom corner, to the bottom corner, it will open up the frame for him. All the reds are on. I don't think he's got anything else, in all honesty. I think he's forced into playing that shot because there's nowhere safe on the table. Or has he seen a double? Or can he cut this yellow? Well, if this cuts the middle, then that really is a bit loose from Tom.
Yellow ball's in play.
Should definitely have been closer to that red. Still not easy. He has options of yellows to either left or right centre. And a yellow ball that's kind of hidden behind that little blockade of 3 reds on the left-hand side.
Seconds.
Almost 3 uniformed sentinels guarding it. It's a good shot. It's a good shot. Again under pressure. So what's the plan for this yellow closest to the side? He's left a nice angle. I'm pretty sure he can't play for a gap here. I mean, there is a gap between the bottom 2 reds, but it's such a fine margin. I think he has to try and cannon the middle ball of the 3. Well, he's gone for the gap. He went for the gap and he's not got it. His aiming point would have been, I think he might still be okay. I think the top yellow of the 2 goes and he can spin the cue ball round, but I think he was aiming to be on the spot at the top of the line. Had he been there, there's a gap between those 2 yellows to be able to drop that in the centre. But as I say, I think he's still okay. The top one goes, and again, he's got the option. I don't think he'll be looking to find the gap this time for sure. And he's got a rush now. Now you see that gap. But I think he's going to look cannon the bottom red out of the way. It's okay. He cannon the middle one. Either was fine. Either was fine. He's a little bit thin on this. I don't think he can get enough on the cue ball. No. There you see it's a really fine shot. He can't get enough on the cue ball to spin below the red. So I think he's going to cannon the red. So he has to be wary about how the cannon lands. He'll be looking to cannon the red half ball, bottom half of the red, to bring the cue ball down table slightly, just get the red out of the way.
4, 3,
Oh no, he's really going to have to rush. Again, an unforced error because he's had to rush the shot. And he really had to rush that one as well. I mean, the referee had called 1 second. And you can see how disappointed he is. He knows how big that was. This clock is really catching him out at the moment. Starting to feed it a bit. Massive frame. Oh no. Wow. Jeez, how's that white stayed up? Oh, that could easily just dip in, couldn't it? But it's left it precarious, hasn't it? I mean, it's just another tricky shot. And he's used his extension.
10 seconds.
Tricky. Tricky. Has to play the ball just above the blue spot, the long pot. The cut to middle is horrible. Not an option. I mean, you fancy him to make these, but real pressure. Oh my goodness. I mean, that's not just a little bit, is it? And he puts his hand up in apology to Phil because, well, he's made it a little bit awkward. I mean, it really shouldn't be a problem. There's a lot of room around that yellow. Phil can get on the right-hand side of the table or the bottom half of the table, and either way it's going to be fine. But I suppose it just creates that tiny level of difficulty that wouldn't necessarily have been there. But I mean, how much has he missed that pot by? It just shows he's human because that's a pot you'd have expected him to get. Phil's going to be rushed again here.
5, 4.
No good. Oh, he's been lucky there. He's been lucky there. That could so easily have gone wrong. That kind of double kiss on the red is just enough to push it out of the way. Half an inch less, and this was really tough. Now it's fairly simple. Wow, what a frame of pool. That frame had everything. Chances abound. But Phil's going to come out on top. And he's 10-7 and breaking the next frame. Is there a way back for TC now? You fear not.
Eighteenth frame, Phil Harrison to break, leading 10 frames to 7, time running.
Big break. Nailed it. Nailed it. Not quite frame and match. Not quite. Both ball sets have a problem. He's going to go yellows. And he's got that problem of the yellow on the right side rail. You can see he's looking a bit quizzical. Just thinking what he's going to do here. Has to be yellows. Too many problems on red. We've got the 3 reds on the right hand side rail. Only one problem for yellows, but the problem is where that yellow is. That one you see there, next to the red, is how you get into it. Look at this for a shot. Oh my goodness. What a sick individual you are, Phil. That is sublime. Look at this. Can you see the way that cue ball was just, it just died, and then all of a sudden the spin kicked in and it accelerated as it gripped on this cloth. That was a brilliant example of how reactive this cloth is. That is an unbelievable shot. Ridiculous. I mean, I'm sat here thinking, I was just about to say, the problem is where that yellow is, there's no ball around it to naturally get it out. So he's just used the one at the top of the table with deep screw and reverse side, check side, to check it down the table, nudge the yellow out, and land plumb. And it's going to win in the match. I need to see that shot again in a second.
10 seconds.
And you'll see what I mean about how the ball just virtually stopped. The cue ball virtually stopped, and then suddenly the spin kicked in. It accelerated down the table as it gripped on this cloth. Another great shot. I mean, just fairly simple, but really had to power that one around. And he's just looking now at, I mean, ideally he wanted to be another 3 or 4 inches down the table, and he could have just screwed it straight back for the black in the right centre. I think he can just nip this one back. He's going to want to finish about 4 inches below the right-hand pocket on that right-hand rail. Perfect. What a great clearance. Really, really top stuff there from Phil, and commiserations to Tom. He's going to have to fight his way back into the event through the loser's side, but, well, hats off to Phil Harrison. What a great win that is. Just showing what a fantastic player and professional. Let's just take another look at that replay a second if we can. That's just, I mean, just watch this for reaction of cue ball. This is a brilliant shot. Look what the cue ball does. Do we have it in real time, is it? Just watch it in real time. You see the reaction of the cue ball better, because it slows down and then all of a sudden you see that acceleration. What a shot. We're going to get Phil into the interview room, and I think that Oli Bell might be coming in as well, after, if he's still in the room after his win against Scott Gillespie. We're going to hear Oli's reaction to that one and have a chat with one of the good guys, Phil. So join us over in the interview room in just a few minutes. See you shortly.
Joined by two players, well, legends of the game, really. I mean, you two guys have been going on for forever. We got Oli Bell and Phil. Phil, off the back of that win, I mean, that's a tough opponent there, isn't it, in Tom?
Yeah,
you two have been playing each other for years, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. I mean, we've had some great games over the years, but he beat me last week, actually. So it was nice to get him back this week.
Yeah, I mean, that one, it was always going to be a bit of a battle of the breaks.
Yeah.
But a few unforced errors from Tom in there that you don't expect to see from him.
No, we were both rubbish, weren't we, really?
I wouldn't say you were anything like rubbish.
I've never seen Tom miss balls by that far in my life, because I stood in line with one of the pots, and any other day that a straight in and missed it by
the one he's had in that last frame, I mean, he's literally missed it by
I've
that
never
foot.
seen him miss by that far.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But
so, and then he missed the one in the middle as well. He missed the yellow in the middle as well. I've never seen Tom do that. And he never does it against me anyway.
But that shot to develop the yellow on that frame, that's something else. I mean, that was exceptional. I mean,
which one was that?
The one
the last one.
The one you screwed back off the side cushion.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
So like engrossed and just trying to roll them all in. And
incredible shot.
Yeah.
Shows the cue power, the timing, but also it shows how reactive that cloth is.
Oh yeah. The table's lovely. You know, it plays really well. And, there's no excuses. Either side.
Over to Oli. Oli, I mean, it's the first time we've had you in this commentary box, and it's a bit disappointing, really, because, you know, I want to talk to a fellow West Countryman, you know, someone with another Southwest accent. Mate, I mean, we know what you can do, but to beat a player in such form, in such style, that's a great result, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a fantastic result. Luckily, it went my way. I was 5-3 down, but he went dry on his break. But you obviously got to take your finishes, and that's from 5-3 down and 1-8 on the bank. So it was a bit of the old oldie there, kept control. You know, when the chances come my way, instead of missing them, I actually potted them this time. So.
I think you were 2-0 down at the start, weren't you?
Yeah, they went 5-3 down and then run out on the banks. But it was a little bit of help from him as well, to be honest, because his break did dry up. But you know, in this game, you know, you take no prisoners and you've got to take your finishes out. So yeah, it was a good win. It's a cracking win, something to build on. You know, I've had a long time out the game, and it's been frustrating because my practice game is really good, Nick, and what's frustrating, I can't get it into a match, but that's a step forward.
So you're back practicing on the Supreme at home?
Yes, I got the same cloth thanks to Lee. He got me the same cloth on the table, so you know it's not like I'm a fish out of water on it. So other tournaments I am, but not for this one. You know, the cloth was fantastic, but yeah.
Any one-handed blacks in the middle of the match?
No, I won't be doing that ever again. The old oldie's gone, Nick. I'm not, you know. I didn't win any friends years ago, so I'm trying to get a few back, Nick.
I watched him play a singles game, and every black. He played one-handed. One of the best one-handed players. Well, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it over the years, haven't you?
I can't live with him doing that.
I know. Someone came online one day and they said, "I'll play anybody in this country one-handed," and about 20 people said, "Only Bell," and then the guy was like, oh, "Maybe I won't then if he's that good."
Well, you got to be talented, but you got to be mad as well to play. Who wants to play one-handed? I mean, not many people.
I mean, you've hit a pretty sizable break in snooker one-handed, haven't you?
I did. I hit 89 and rattled the pink with 2 reds left. Yeah, and that was
89
Nick,
one-handed.
Yeah,
on
but
the
that was
table.
before I had kids, Nick. You know what I mean?
I couldn't do that too.
Yeah. Well, it was a long time ago, but yeah, I really enjoyed today, Nick, because it was a huge step forward for me, like, you know.
Yeah. Maybe a monkey off your back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you've not had a deep run in this one yet, have you?
No, I've played very poor. Very poor. But it's my first year back after 10 years. It's a long time. You can't expect too much, like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm practicing well. You know, you never know, do you? Every match comes.
It's great to see you back back in form. It really is.
Thanks.
And talking about a man in form, I mean, 2 events last year, runner-up in the first event this year, another deep run coming here. I mean, you've already beaten one of the men of the moment.
I never ever think like that. Or just one ball at a time for me.
Is it?
I don't care what I did last week or 2 years ago. It doesn't make a difference. It's about now, and you know, that's just net ball for me.
What a great attitude!
See, look at the mentality of that.
Yeah,
Amazing.
That's a winner. Look, see.
It might be boring, but that's the way I do it.
But Phil, I mean, there's so many players at the top of the game now. It's such a tough field. How have you managed to stay on top for so many years? I mean, there's no inconsistency. You rarely put in a bad performance, and when you put in a bad performance, you often still win.
Well, I don't know about that bit, but yeah, I you know,
He's the granite of the game,
the
mate.
game can be cruel to you, and I think we just, you know, especially the top players, they just accept the fact that does happen to you, and you just keep on fighting.
But what I mean, it's such a fickle game. You know, the break can go dry for you. There's so many different anomalies, and you've got all these youngsters snapping at your heels. But you're still at the top of the game. You're still the man to beat. I don't know how you do it after that many years.
I don't know, Nick.
It's carp fishing, I think. You relax when you're not playing pool, don't you? You go carp fishing a lot.
Yeah, I do.
No,
I'd like to.
To be honest, Nick, I'm going to say something about Phil, but he's been a granite of pool for years and years and years, and he hasn't had a gap in the game. So, you know, I think he's one of the most consistent pool players that's ever picked the queue up. You know, he doesn't miss silly balls, he doesn't do anything, nothing phases the man, you know, and he's a true winner, and he's a true gentleman of the game as well, which is fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, do you ever think, Phil, I mean, you've never really, I think you had a little foray into 9-ball, but not for long. You've always focused on 8-ball, haven't you?
Yeah, I've never really played in. I mean, I've played a bit of the World 9-Ball Championship and
But
couple of 3 times.
is that the difference, that you've just focused on this one thing? Because there's other great players. I mean, Oli himself, you know, I mean, European champion, but Oli's tried other things, American and Chinese. Do you think it's just the fact that you've remained focused on that one game that's kept you at the top?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you've seen all the top players. I mean, you know, Darren and Mick, and they could all play the 9-ball game and Chinese 8-ball game and whatever game they want to play, snooker, but they can still come here and play really, really good 8-ball.
Yeah.
But for me, obviously, I go to work every day like most people, and I can't justify playing 9-ball and then coming back to 8-ball, because I know that I can't sit there and play for 5 hours. You know, I have to go to work every day. I don't work, but you know, so obviously I just stick to the small table game. And, I
his
still
match
enjoy
play
it.
is just incredible. His match play over the years, like pro events, tour events, you know, he's always round about there and match play, and it's put him in good stead now for when all these youngsters come through. You haven't got Phil's experience of match play, and you can't buy that. You've earned it, and he's earned that, and fair play to you, Phil. You know what I mean? You've earned that over the years. You deserve every success, mate.
I'm probably going to lose next round.
Do you know what? It's an absolute pleasure talking to you guys, and I could do it for a long time. But we'll wind things up. I mean, we've got another big game coming on. I think Chris Melling's in action now on the arena table, so should be another great game to watch.
Will be different between. It'll be different than watching Phil, watching Chris. So it won't be the same, put it that way.
No. I wish you the greatest fortune for the rest of the event, and
Cheers,
I hope you both get a deep run. It's a real pleasure.
Thank you, Nick.
Phil.
Nick.
Thanks
Good
for
luck,
that.
Phil.
Yeah.
Well done.
We're going to be back with the action on the main arena table shortly. As I say, Chris Melling's in action, so join us for that one.